Coming up, I'm going to share some important dates that you must know to ensure a successful app launch. Stay tuned. What is up, App Nation? It is Steve P. Young, founder of AppMasters.co, back and better than ever. Today, I want to talk to you about some important dates that you must know to really set yourself up for success, for a successful app launch. Now, I feel like the three pillars that we've become really, really good at are App Store optimization, Apple features. We've gotten 7 apps featured by Apple, and of course, PR. So I'm gonna go through each and every single one of them and talk about when you should actually be executing for each one. All right, let's get to it. The first one, ASO. Now, there's 2 schools of thoughts here. The first one is you start as early as possible, and before you even, or while you're actually building the app, you start thinking about the app name, right? And that's where you kind of figure out, hey, what keyword should I have in my app name to really make sure I can drive some organic downloads to it? So you're using ASO and data that you're finding through ASO to figure out what that app name should be. Now, I'm not just talking about the app name as in keyword stuffing like Kindle, read, ebooks, and online magazines. That second part, I'm talking about coming up with the Kindle keyword for your app name. So using keywords and using data from the different ASO tools out there to really come up with your app name. That's one. Now, obviously, you're gonna do that while you're building your app. Now, if you're gonna go the traditional route where you already have a name picked out for your app, then I'd recommend starting about 4 weeks before launch, because that way you can really see, gives you enough time to test out the keywords, to play around with it, to really optimize your app name. What I mean by 4 weeks is because you don't want to cut it too close to the launch, right? You want to make sure you get enough time to get enough data using all the different strategies I shared in the past to really come up with Kindle, read ebooks and magazines and so forth. So about 4 weeks. I generally like to start 4 weeks before an app launch. Number 2, an Apple feature. The coveted Apple feature. Well, I went to WWDC, and straight from Apple's mouth, if you have a test flight ready to go, you can pitch them. And Apple, the people there are very friendly. So if you just ask for some feedback, hey, I really want to get an Apple feature, of course everybody does, but you can ask for some feedback when you have a test flight ready, you can do that, okay? If you're ready and you already have all the metrics built in, you did the soft launch and you just want to be considered for an Apple feature, well, I would recommend starting about 2 to 3 weeks before you're about to launch. And then in the pitch, tell them, hey, we're planning to launch on this particular day, right? With that amount of time, you can then adjust your subject lines. If one subject line isn't being open, you can make these small adjustments, maybe find a different App Store manager to pitch, or continue pitching the generic email address, appstorepromotion@apple.com. You can do all of that, but I would say 3 weeks before an app launch is when you want to pitch Apple. And lastly, number 3, PR. So I actually stumbled into PR. I have no PR background. I just know how to get someone's attention, right? Ask my wife. For PR, 2 different things that I'll mention. 1, if you use the exclusive strategy, start as early as possible. So again, I would say 3 weeks from launch if you're using the exclusive strategy. Why? Because you probably want to build out a list of maybe 5 different sites that you want to pitch the exclusive angle to. And I'll link that into the show notes if you don't know what the exclusive angle is. But for one of our clients, which we've used this strategy on, and we got them on a really big site, it was probably the 4th site that we pitched the exclusive angle to that they said yes. And it was a really big site. So you want about a list of 4 or 5 big sites, and then just work your way down the exclusive. So you pitch one site, you wait a couple of days, you follow up. If you don't hear back, just assume that they're passing and move on to the next exclusive site. Okay, so if you go in the exclusive route, I would say 3 weeks. Number 2, If you're going, or B, I should call it 3B, if you're just going full blast and you're just trying to get as much press as possible, and you're gonna email almost everybody in your press list, then I would say about a week before is when you wanna start pitching them. Because with a week, you go too early, they're gonna forget about you, all right? You go too late, you're not giving them enough time to really ask questions or interview people, so you're not giving them enough time. But I found that maybe 7 to 10 days is enough time to get them interested, 2, give them enough time to either do some investigation or even be a real reporter and ask you different questions about the app and so forth, and really plan it out. A week is probably the best if you're going full, emailing the full press list. And the key to that is also follow up, right? So if I'm going a week, I usually follow up maybe 3 days before the launch, and then I stop. And then the day the app launches is when that email sequence looks like. So about a week before, we say, hey, can I give you early access? Hey, 3 days after that, or 3 days before launch, just following up, can I still give you early access? And the day it goes out, hey, the app is live, blah, 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 blah. And if you're getting some traction, like on Product Hunt, not other sites, I wouldn't recommend saying like, hey, we're on Mashable, TechCrunch, can you feature me now? But if you're on, like, let's say Product Hunt, you're doing really well on that, maybe a day or so after you launch, say, hey, we're #1 on Product Hunt right now, would love for you to feature it. I've used that pretty well. I'm getting clients featured on big publications. And the last thing you should know about a PR campaign is that after a week of your app launch, you're probably old news. So there's not much that people are that interested in. So you got about a week after you launch to be considered new. Otherwise, people are gonna say, what's new about your app? They wanna cover what the new thing is, right? So those are 3 important dates. Just to recap real quick. ASO, you can use it to come up with your app name, but if you're going the traditional route, you already have an app name about 4 weeks before you launch, gives you enough time to really do the analysis. Number 2, Apple feature. Test flight is ready, you can start pitching them. But if you got a launch date in mind and this is the final version of the app, well, about 3 weeks before you launch. It's very important. And lastly, the PR exclusive angle, 3 weeks. If you're going full press, about 1 week before you launch. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next video.